We also wanted to be able to demonstrate our products remotely, to remotely view others' desktops, remote control their computers for client support issues, and we were hunting for solutions for that. We ended up trying a couple of solutions. One of them was an open source solution. While it worked fairly well, it's just quite didn't go there with the voice quality or the remote control options. And so what we ended up going with here was WebEx. WebEx happens to be one of the #1 online meeting centers out there. It's fairly reasonable. It's probably one of the more costly solutions at around $50 a month for an account. But I would say that our business could not live without it. We probably use this one tool more times in a given day or week than we use our phone system. So this is one of those tools that we're constantly using. It's fulfilled all of our needs. It allows us to do scheduling the conference calls. You can send out your invites to people as either an email, a text message, SMS, anywhere along those lines. It attaches a calendar event for you, so it automatically populates the person's calendar. Handles the voice over IP calling, so as you connect to the meeting, you click a button, connect using your computer with or without a handset. I've used lots of times just with a laptop, built-in speakers and microphone, and actually had no problems. It also allows you to share not only just documents and presentations, but your desktop, so we can remotely view desktops or actually show other people's desktops and collaborate. And I believe that was probably one of the last tools that we've used, so I've compiled a list of those for you so you can see, you know, where to go and where to look for those different applications. And I guess what I'd like to do now is just, you know, answer any questions that you might have and see if there's anything we can help you out that we've addressed in the past. Yes, sir.
What recommendation you will have for software or something to help with clients control, like follow-ups, distribution line, contact list, all that?
One of the things, and the question was how to handle client contact and follow-up and along those lines, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the tools that we've used in-house, of course, you're talking mainly customer relationship management, CRM type software. Salesforce.com is one of the best ones. It's very cost prohibitive, but Salesforce.com. We've actually also used Sugar CRM, which is actually what Salesforce.com is using as their back-end application, but they've highly customized it. But Sugar CRM is an absolutely open source product. So if you have servers, you can actually download a pre-done virtual machine and put it on a VMware type server, or run it in a virtual machine on your computer. That's probably one of the best and most feature-rich solutions out there. It covers everything that you'd see in a Salesforce.com type arena, but for free. Yes, sir.
You know, I hear a lot about open source, and especially I work for the state. If you mention open source, heads start shaking, you know, people start shivering, everybody gets scared. Is open source really something I can rely on to meet the needs of my business, or is it really as bad as everybody portrays it to be?
Sure, and the answer to that is yes and no. There are open source products out there that are not very well supported. It's one person working on it. They thought of something that they wanted to do and put out there, and some of those do not work. But I will tell you that the majority of the community-backed open source projects work. We use them at the Florida Department of Health. We actually have, they're one of our customers, and we have quite a number of open source products running at the Florida Department of Health that we've helped push through. We use open source products in our dealings with the federal government, the CDC, Association of Public Health Labs. We have those running production numbers and running say notifiable diseases. You've all heard of H1N1 or swine flu. Open source software is helping move those laboratory results when an actual case is determined across all the different states and counties to the CDC for those reportings. Open source software is also used as backbone for all of your the messages going to the CDC. There's a FNMS software that's utilized there that's used in all 50 states. You've all heard of NHIN Connect, I'm probably sure. It's the big push now to get a national health information network. All that software is open source. There's a huge push from the president on down to use those products. So open source is a viable alternative in the industry. It is making sure you're going with a supported product, one that's got a lot of community backing behind it, but most of the products, all the products I've mentioned are. And you'll probably find that about 80 to 90% of what you find out there is a viable solution. Yes, ma'am.
Back to the CRM and Salesforce specifically. Salesforce, we've been actually looking at that CRM, and one of the capabilities it has is that we can upload documents to a certain profile. It has 128-bit encryption from what we understand, but what does that translate to in like non-IT terms? Like, how secure is that?
Most all of your, and then the question was, for those of you who can hear, how secure is 128-bit encryption for like uploading documents and everything?
Right.
How does that translate to the rest of you? And 128-bit encryption is the standard for all of the encryption used right now on the internet for commercial, like all the banking, all of the SSL certificates. When you actually connect to a banking site, it's typically 128-bit encryption. So that's typically the lowest level encryption that's common across the United States, and that's used for every site you've ever gone to and entered your credit card information on to buy from Amazon or to purchase movie tickets online, anywhere along those lines. That's the security level. So that's a fairly good security level of encryption.
Are you familiar with any kind of issues that Salesforce has had with privacy or?
I am not familiar with any issues that Salesforce has had with privacy at the moment. They're probably one of the ones, for as much as they do with as many companies that they do.
Well, and it's completely web-based. I mean, there's no software that you download. That's one of their big things, is that it's completely web-based. So that's
100% web-based. And it does work. I've been at quite a few companies who use Salesforce.com as their primary contact relationship software. And it's the leading software out there. It's pricey, but it does the job. They don't have any issues.
But when you compare that to software like ACT, in comparison, it's not as pricey. You want to say something about ACT?
Yeah, ACT is one of those tools I last used in the late 80s. It quickly, I tried it again in the mid-90s and I stopped using it.
Fair enough.
So ACT is good for what it does. It just wasn't as comprehensive. Now, honestly, I have not seen it in the last decade, so I don't know how it's grown past then. But I will tell you, for all of the features that a solution such as Salesforce has, in the open source community, looking at Sugar has all of those same functionality, and they have probably 2,000 or 3,000 add-ons that allow extend Sugar to do a lot more, and people develop for it.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
What about Office productivity tool sets? Alternatives for Microsoft, Google Docs, OpenOffice?
Absolutely, and the question was, what about alternatives to Microsoft Office? And that's one that we didn't touch on. But in a world where the standard is Microsoft Office, we actually use OpenOffice as our standard. That's what we use in-house to do most of our documentation. We also use, one or two of our people use Google Docs. That's very nice for being able to have a complete web-based suite. You can access your documents if you're sitting at a customer's computer, if you're sitting at a public terminal. You can pull up documents and view them. OpenOffice gives you the capability to have that when you're on a plane and you want to do some of the work and actually work on a spreadsheet or work on a document, a drawing, a presentation. You can use OpenOffice to do that as well. Trying to think if there's any others that I've used, but I think those are the two big ones that we've used out there, is the OpenOffice and the Google Documents. Yes.
Echoing a little what Melody had brought up, which is a security issue. Let's say that you're starting a business and you can't really purchase something like Salesforce, which is what we use for commerce, the US commerce, but you still want those safeguards for security. What would you recommend, or what research tool do you want to take, especially when you're dealing with clients and sensitive information? And let's say you're doing a lot of travel and you want to have that sort of satellite opportunity to link into those accounts and that information.
Well, and one of the areas that we've gotten into is we used to try to do a lot of open source on that, and we tried to use our VPNs back into our organization that were open source and move along those lines. And what we found out is some of that stuff is better left to some of the paid products. And one of the things that we use in our business is a company called Astaro. Astaro, I think it's A-S-T-A-R-O,
Yeah.
but they provide some very nice firewall solutions. They provide some very nice all-in-one solutions. For a small rack mount unit that slips into your server rack, they give you VPN connectivity, they give you spam filtering, they give you antivirus filtering, they give you secure email encryption, they give you digitally sign for you can electronically sign your documents, your emails going in and out. It's a very nice little unit. It's probably, when you compare it to a lot of the big players out there, the Cisco's, the Fortinets, everything, it's about maybe a fifth the cost of what you would find in a device. They're subscription based, so you can actually pay a subscription, and they auto update with antivirus signatures, they auto update with spam filtering, so there's really a lot of hands-off management on them. But the nice thing with that is if you're hosting your own email services like we are with Zimbra or Exchange or anything along those lines, with this device you purchase your 128-bit security SSL certificates, install them on this device, and without any configuration from your clients at all, your Outlook clients, your email is automatically encrypted and automatically signed. So as I send any of my email out as it goes through my mail server, it's digitally signed, letting everybody know it's coming from me. And if somebody replies to that or encrypts messages to and from me, that device handles the encryption of the mail going between the two servers and automatically decrypts that for me when it puts it into my mailbox. So it's a very nice security tool. And then having the ability to click a button and open up a VPN session back to your home office, you then have access to all of your servers, all of your data right behind the firewall. The solutions that we do use, like Dropbox, since they're hosted on a cloud computer, any internet connection, everything's SSL encrypted, transferring the data between our laptops and the internet. It's encrypted, stored on the internet, and the data is secure in that methodology. But we don't have to use a VPN to get to that data. We can have any type of internet connection. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah. Comment into a question.
Okay.
What I find fascinating here, particularly in the last just year of business, is there's all of these cloud computing concepts, there's all of these social networking, and what I've seen emerge is almost to make up a term, cloud businessing. So that's kind of what I'm hearing this conversation is about, and I was just wondering if there's other core operational areas of your business that are available in this combined open source, internet, cloud, social network. Because it's fascinating. I think it's changing the way that small businesses can very quickly get started. So are there other areas that perhaps you did cover, like that Jeff brought up, like the open office? Are there other core business segments that you could see almost plucking out of this available cloud?
And some of them are, yes.
One thing we do, a lot of our HR and accounting, we use QuickBooks, Quicken, where obviously it's stored in another server. It's dependable, it's secure. Many small businesses around the nation, actually around the world, use tools like that. There are reasonable fees. Payroll is run through as well. It takes into consideration taxes, what state you're operating in. So that's another example, I think, of something we use, which is in a way